I start off by making a giant peanut shape out of tin foil. You definitely want the bottom half of your peanut to be a bit longer than the top half. The top will be his head and the bottom will be his chubby little body. Make it as thin or as fat as you want. Make your peanut smaller than you want it to be, because you will be bulking it out with clay in a minute. I then cover the entire porg with a layer of oven-baked clay. My porg wasn't as chubby as I wanted him to be, so I went back and added a belt of tinfoil around his waist. An easier/faster way you could do this is use some kind of roller and roll out a big thin sheet of clay, and then just lay that onto porg and blend it with the clay you already have on there. This will save you a lot of time, but it will not save you as much clay as if you did it as if like you were just putting little pieces on one at a time. Moving on to the face sculpting. If you see that black thing in there, that's actually a fridge magnet that I got. That's going to be his eyes. What I did was I rolled out a big log of clay and wrapped it around where I want his eye to be. I then put the magnet in there and blended the face down, the eye hole thingy down with my thumb. I'm very bad at filming sculpting, so just try to follow what I'm doing here. I'm very bad at explaining things as well, so I hope you get what I'm doing here, and yeah. His wings are just pieces of tinfoil that I attached to his body and then covered in clay. I will be reinforcing them with some fabric and glue later to make them stronger. This is just how I did it for the base layer of whatever his wings are, the skeleton of his wings, as you would say. Here he is after I baked him according to package instructions. I painted the front of him where I want the white fur to be white. That's basically the outline of where I'm going to put all the white fur. I did the same with gray paint for where I wanted the gray, and the same with orange paint for where I wanted the orange. I put 2 little holes in his bottom butt, I guess, where his feet are going to go. I will be sculpting his feet later, but I made the holes big enough so that I can fit his feet in there. Like I mentioned earlier, his eyes are just fridge magnets that I asked my mom if I could have because she wasn't using them. You could sculpt these or buy them on the internet or something. I just really like these. That's actually the reason why I decided to make a porg, because I thought they would look good as his eyes. Here is how I painted the eyes. First of all, I found a surface that was pretty much non-stick, and I laid down several pieces of masking tape. I traced a quarter over the masking tape twice for both of his eyes. I then used an Xacto blade to cut out around the circles. I used my Xacto knife to help me lift up the circles, and then I placed the tape circle onto his eye. I'm going to paint around the black part that you can see. That's how I'm going to make his eyes. Paint his eyes, I guess. Here I am just making the armature for both of his feet out of 12 gauge aluminum wire. Now I'm just covering his the armature for his feet with the same clay that I made or covered porg in. To make his teeth, I just rolled out little snakes and cut off the pointy end of them. I lined these up and then covered the bottom with clay to be like gums for his teeth, but there are several ways you could do his teeth. This is just how I did it. I am not going to try to explain how I sculpted his feet because I am terrible at explaining things because I'm still new to YouTube. Just try to follow what I'm doing here. I used various different clay tools for this and an Xacto blade and just random little things that I found around the house. Here are his feet after I painted them with acrylic paint. I painted the inside of Porg's mouth with a nasty maroonish color. That was the first layer, so it wasn't very thick. Here I'm showing you that I'm using air dry clay to make his gums. This is similar to how I made my dad's wampa head gums. I made his tongue out of the same air dry clay as I used for his gums. I put the air dry clay in his mouth, then pushed the baked teeth into the clay to make indents. After I pulled them out, I put some super glue in the indentations and then placed the teeth back in there to get them to stay. Here I'm putting Mod Podge on the wing of Porg and then covering it in fabric to make the wings sturdier because they were really fragile. I painted the eyes with several different layers and colors of brown acrylic paint. Then I coated them with polyurethane gloss to get them to be like shiny and lifelike.
Now to make Porg's hair, you will need 4 pieces of like gray yarn or dark gray or light gray, whatever you prefer, whichever Porg you're gonna make, and then another piece of yarn. It doesn't matter what color it is. First off, I line up all the edges here. Then I take the yarn and I fold it in half like this. Place the other piece of yarn over it. Then pull the other pieces of yarn through it. I'm going to do this four times on here. I'm just standing on it because I'm holding my camera with my hand. Just taking a regular comb.
If you'd like a more in-depth tutorial of what I'm doing here, just go onto YouTube and search up how to make yarn wefts. That's what I'm doing here. There are a lot of better tutorials than I'm doing here. You will probably need 100 of these wefts and different colors of your Porg. Now when you're going to glue the wefts to Porg, you're going to want to brush out the roots of your weft. Because you're going to cut the hair, you want the roots to be really nice, because that's the only part of the hair that you will be seeing. Now I'm just going to use regular tacky glue and apply it all to the area where I want the hair to go. Then I'm going to use my thumb to spread it around and make a more even coating of it. Using my sewing scissors, I just cut off around the base of the weft. I then place that into the glue and use the end of the paintbrush, the end of the hairbrush, and my thumb to squish it into the glue. You're going to want to wait in between layers of doing this for the glue to dry, because otherwise you'll have a big mess. You can do about like one layer, wait for it to dry, and then do another one. I did most of the hair application off camera because I have a life and it took me like 2 to 3 weeks to apply all the hair. You could probably do it in one weekend if you were vigilant enough, but between making the hair and then applying it, it took forever. to style his hair slash fur slash feathers, I just fluffed it all up and made it stand up straight, then used my nice sharp sewing scissors to cut off little bits at a time. The cutting of this took about 2 days because I was busy, but you could do this in 1 day if you apply all the hair at one time. To get the hair around his snoot, I just took some of the wefts and cut them very finely into little fibers, then used tacky glue to attach them to the face. Use a respirator when doing this, or else cover your face with your shirt. I put the tacky glue on and then just pushed a bunch of the little fibers into it and then let it dry. After it had dried, I used a paintbrush to brush away the excess. I finished cutting the rest of his hair, attached his tongue with super glue, attached his eyes with hot glue, and his feet with hot glue, and I am done. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope it was helpful even though it was a bit scattered. You don't have to try to follow my commentary, just try to follow what I'm doing. Again, thank you viewer for watching this, and always remember that I love you, but Jesus loves you more. Thanks for watching. Oh, and have a very porgful Christmas, and definitely go to see The Last Jedi. It was freaking amazing.